Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I am your host, Courtney C. and Boomer. Boop, boop, boop. Look at Boomer. Yay, Boomer.
Yeah.
We are live with you tonight. We are going to be covering some Nancy Guthrie things, maybe talking about this new case going on in Tucson, but I'm so happy to have you tonight, Boomer. How are you doing?
I'm doing just great. How are y'all? Hope
I
everybody
am.
out there in true crime world's doing good.
We've got a full house and we are so happy to have you guys here tonight. So, Boomer, I asked you on tonight because I have been thinking about, with Nancy, with this latest shooting of the young corrections officer and his fiance. That's pulling resources away from Nancy Guthrie. They've had other cases going on, but this seems to be a really big one because these were law enforcement people. Can you share what happens internally when you have to take resources off of a big case like Nancy?
Well, obviously you can't work it like you were working it or like you planned on working it. Whenever you have to do that now. In this case, I think they probably. I think I heard about it. A reporter was asking him about it, and he says, I got to use my resources where I have to have them. And so I think when you have a police officer shooting, which is kind of what that was, even the guy wasn't a sworn officer yet, it they're going to go all out to figure that out. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't pull people for that to work on that. I don't know that for sure. But in other more normal situations, what you have is a case like Nancy's. It goes on for 6 months or longer. Typically, in a homicide unit or a unit like that, the other homicides are coming in. I don't know how many homicides they get in Pima County, but those other homicides are coming in, and so according to your available personnel to work homicides and things like that, how big your squad is, you have to use them and you have to start assigning other homicides. And sometimes the lead investigators that are involved in a big case like that, all of a sudden they'll start getting another homicide, or two. And then next thing you know, your core group is all broke up, going different directions, working different cases. It can work differently with different agencies, but I know how it worked in our agency, and that's the way it worked. You can't, if you, according to how many detectives you got working homicide, I don't think they have that many in Pima County working homicide. And they, as far as I know, they had most of them working on that task force. So I know they had to pull some of them off. You know, that was a that's a difficult case too. But I saw they wrapped it up as far as making arrests and all. I think last night.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. My first question was, I heard blue alert. Is that due to a police officer being down or law enforcement being down, a blue alert?
Yeah, it wasn't out there in my day, but
Mhm.
it is something in more recent days where they have that. Yeah, and it's just the way it is. When that happens, everybody comes to play the game. Everybody from other agencies around and everything else and whatever you need, everybody will chime in and say, "How can we help?" So they had a lot of people out there working that case from that shooting the other night, as they should. So I'm glad to see they got them.
Well, yeah, and I heard that there's 3 arrested now. They thought that there could have been a 4th, a 5th, or a 6th. So, more on that.
Yeah.
But my, some of the things that I noticed right away, and of course, it could be different with Nancy's case just because of the timing of the day and where she lives. But it seemed like the sheriff's department put out information on the suspects right away. They had pictures of everyone. They had video of the car. They had the car. I mean, why? It seemed like it felt like it was really moving just even from perception because we were seeing things that we didn't get with Nancy. Is that because would they be
Well,
holding that?
You didn't have anything to work with Nancy. I
Okay.
mean, even the porch guy, that didn't come till 10 days later. You had a whole different situation. In this particular homicide case, they had witnesses or people saw them or they heard it all, and there was a lot more to work on. And they got a picture of the car real quick from, I don't know if it was maybe it was from a neighbor's camera or something like that. So that sent them, they had somewhere to go, and they were when things like that happen, you can move pretty quickly. And then they got pictures from a convenience store and all that. So it's totally different than the Guthrie case.
Well, and I wonder if it's because it was in a more populated area or the time of day. Those things all make a difference.
Yeah, that does make a difference. It's a more populated area or area easier to get around in, or they had a lot more cameras around. They could track the vehicle and that kind of stuff. So it's a different kind of case. With Nancy Guthrie, they came in thinking it was going to be an old person walked off case, which they have lots of those, and it took them a long time. I don't know why, but it took them a long time to figure that out. A whole day at least to figure that out, that it wasn't a walk off case, even though I think the family was telling them it's not a walk off case. It can't be. And then of course you had evidence on. So you know, it's just two totally different cases.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any more. There is more. There is a lot more emphasis put on that case because it was a police officer shot and another deputy that works in the jail. So it was. They're, they're going to put all hands on deck, and they're going to work it as much as they can in every way they can. That's for sure. But they had a whole lot more to work with than you did with the Nancy case.
So, there's been a lot of hubbub, with Tucson, it's kind of gotten on the map. Okay, now everybody's watching these things. And of course, Nancy Guthrie truthers are looking at everybody, how tall they are. Are they porch guy? I personally don't think any of these guys are porch guy. And I heard you on Patriot Pride the other night. I'm taking you don't think so either.
Uh, I would consider it if I was part of the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Now, obviously, the
Okay.
big guy, he's not. There's another guy there that some of the other YouTubers have worked on. Could be, but I don't think it is. But so I'm sure they're looking at that. I'm sure they're looking at it.
Is it possible that, like I've said in the past, birds of a feather? I mean, is it
Sure.
that they may have more information? Possibly.
Yeah, of course they're gonna ask them that if those guys talk to them. I don't, I have no idea, but these are seasoned inmates. They don't talk real easy. I doubt. I don't know. I have no idea what if they're talking or not. But it wouldn't surprise me as the first thing out of their mouth was, "Oh, my lawyer."
Okay.
So you're not going to get anything. Now, one of my first thoughts, me personally, one of my first thoughts was when this came off, and I was watching it on uh, uh, Tucson. He's covering it, and one of my first thoughts was, could this be one of the guys?
Yeah.
Not because it's a related crime necessarily, because this was a targeted crime. Also, this murder of these two was targeted. You know, I don't care what the sheriff says.
No,
If
I
he
agree.
says a random robbery or burglary or something, no way. It's a targeted crime. Has to do with something either personal or has to do with the jail, something like that. So you know that part of it is similar. It's targeted. And then I thought, okay, could one of these are the kind of guys that would do what they did to Nancy.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
you're looking for that kind of guy, the goon on the front porch. So they could fit that mold, but then they got to fit the mold of what do they look like, What one of them, I think I don't know his name. Maybe it's Roberts or something like that. Somebody was doing some checking on him, putting the mask on him and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff to see if it matched up. So I would be doing that, see if it matched up. So Um,
This guy, I'll
I,
share my
I'm sh-
screen.
I, okay.
So we
I'm
have something to look
sure.
at.
I'm sure they would do that. Yeah.
This guy, he
Right.
matches the height, he matches the body build. He looks a little thinner, but
Yeah.
porch guy could have had a couple layers on. People thought he might have had
Exactly.
layers.
I would check that out. I'm sure they're checking that out. I'm sure they are. They're not. They're not that bad.
So I don't know if anybody caught today, and I'm not going to play it because it's got cuss words in it. But supposedly the sister of Barnett called into 857 today on
Uh huh.
X,
Right.
and she's claiming that the fiance that got shot that was 31 weeks pregnant was pregnant with his child, and that they'd been messing around, and that the female that got shot had been bringing contraband into the jail.
Well, that's the mother saying this. Well,
This is his. So this
yeah.
guy, Alex James, his sister called
Right.
in.
Oh, his sister. Okay.
His sister called in, and she sounded peeved. I mean, really pissed. She's like, no, Barnett had been sleeping with, and this is all rumor, you guys. This is all what I heard on 857. I'm not saying this is fact, but apparently on X, there's a clip of Alex James Barnett's sister calling in and saying that the female corrections officer, that's Barnett's baby in her tummy.
It's
And
an accusation
it's an
from her.
accusation alleged.
Accusation from her, not from you or me, but that's
No.
what somebody's already put out there.
Yes. So the other night when you were on with Adam, um, you said it could be because of a woman. So
Yeah.
I was interested to hear, what have you seen between correction officers, inmates? I mean, what do you know? I mean,
Well, that's a long-standing problem. Once they allow women to be in prisons and allow women to take care of men in jail and all. You got that famous case from, I think it was Michigan, where the female inmate allowed these three, helped these three guys escape and that kind of stuff. So that's nothing really new. I don't know. These guys are con artists beyond con artists beyond con artists, and they can oftentimes sweet talk these women into things. And so now, that was just my thought, that it has to be one of those reasons. It either has to be that they crossed them in the jail, they did or said something to them in the jail, or it has to do with the woman, because you don't just come in there. It was an execution style attempt, is what it was. And it's a payback, and I don't think these guys even cared about getting caught either. So
really?
no, they're crazy.
Well,
They,
I know
they think they were going to get away with this.
this guy is married because I pulled him up on Truth Finder. He's married. This guy
Uh-huh.
that looks more like porch guy, and he's got a rap sheet a mile long.
Sure.
But he definitely, I mean, straight to red rumming somebody. And just thinking about what you were saying, these guys were in, I guess, black ski masks when they went in. I mean, that's scary. These people do not care about human life.
No. See, that's also the reason why I don't think you can uh, eliminate the fact that whoever killed Nancy Guthrie might still be out there, one of these guys. So people need to keep that in mind. Now, I don't want to scare people. People always want to blame it on family because it makes you feel better about it. Oh, I'm safe now. Everybody else feels safe because it's not somebody. It's not a random guy like this that's going to come do this to me. How long is this guy? Did you find out how long this guy had been out of prison?
It looked like his last offense was in 2022. So it had been a wee tad
But how long had
between.
he been out of prison?
Oh,
Did
that's
he
a
go
good
to
question.
prison for in 2022 offense?
It didn't give me that much information. I'd have to
Okay.
dig deeper, and honestly, that's a very good question, because maybe he was out for a short period of time.
Right.
I know this other guy, Barnett, they're saying that he was in jail around, he could have been in around the same time that this little dude who was murdered was a CO. This guy. This is the guy who was killed. And supposedly,
Yeah,
according to,
see, it's personal.
yeah.
See, I thought that whole thing, I thought it was personal.
Well, and Barnett's sister is saying that not only is Barnett the father of the unborn child, but that this guy, Carlos Ramirez, who is dead, was bringing contraband in as well, and they were dealing drugs. So, and that's
Well,
alleged.
I take all that with a grain of salt too.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, as far as that goes, so they want to try and blame it on the victims to take the blame off of him as much as they can. That's the way people are too. But, you know, just logically thinking, there has to be, you know, a reason. They don't just drive into that neighborhood. They actually were waiting out there. They had obviously done some surveillance or done something also to know that when they get up and what time they're going to work and all that. I heard that the truck, maybe this guy's truck, was running when all this happened. So it was either pre-started before he came out, or um, something. It was running when they got there. The police got there. It's the way I heard it. So anyway, you know, probably going to go to work early. I don't know, but they knew what was going on with those folks. I don't know if they crashed in, if they broke in, you know, kicked the door in, or what, or whatever. I heard from let's see, 857. Tucson. They were listening to radio traffic the other night. And they pulled all this radio traffic in, and they picked up on saying that this guy was in the bedroom. He was shot in the bedroom. Um, that's what, you know. I was listening to it too, and that's what it said. I don't know.
Well, I know Adam and Mike were speculating whether the bad guys just happened to see Carlos go out to get the car started or whatever, and then did. But if it was just a last minute without planning, I'm not sure. Are they tooling around with guns and ski masks? I mean, who knows? I
No,
mean,
they
seriously.
came there that morning, that day, to hit him.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know how that. I was listening to somewhere on the news media or something that said that they had been parked there for maybe 15 minutes before all this came down. So they were planning on the hit. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. I'm totally speculating. Maybe he starts up his truck every morning before, and he has, you know, a key starter, key fob. You start it up from inside, get it warmed up or whatever, or get it cooled down.
Yeah, it might
I
be
don't
cooled
know. Maybe
down.
they
Yeah.
waited for that to happen. Maybe they had been around. I don't know. You know, I'm just total speculation there as far as that goes. But it was a hit.
Well, and first of all, I want to say hi to Libby6. Yes, I follow you on X, and you've been getting some good stuff. And I was actually referencing, I think Libby6, you had reposted what 857 had of the phone call from the sister. So I wanted to give Libby6 a shout out. She's on X. So thanks for coming in, Libby. Appreciate it very much. But one of the things that I immediately thought last week when I first heard of this is, COs don't make a lot of money. They really don't. They take
Right.
COs with GEDs right out of high school. If you've got a heartbeat, you're in, okay, and can pass a drug test, okay? Two 23-year-olds with a small toddler with probably daycare and someone pregnant. These kids do not have anything worth robbing unless they're dealing. But again, they don't have anything. I was teasing. The only thing my kids have, if I wanted to steal anything, was maybe a KitchenAid mixer that I'm jealous of, and my granddaughters, and that would be it.
Yeah, I heard you say that one.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't care what the sheriff says. He just says that stuff. I don't know. I don't know I don't know where he came up with that. We're going with this a robbery.
Yeah. What are you robbing from two 23-year-olds? I'm not sure.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's, I think they'll find out in the wash what it is, and they probably don't want to know if it has to do with them. Anybody providing drugs inside that, they don't want them to know that. They don't want them to know any of the other stuff. I mean, I don't know how. I'll quit.
No, you're fine. And the thing is, getting back to, maybe how this could be, um, connected with Nancy. I'm always looking at the latest stuff going on in Nancy. And, even if, let's just say, resources were pulled from Nancy, because all hands on deck, like you said, wouldn't the Fed still be working Nancy leads, even if,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Now, unless they may have offered help as far as something that goes on there, as far as anything they can do electronically or anything like that, I'm sure they probably offered help. But I don't think they were boots on the ground helping out there in that way, in that regard.
So yeah, exactly. So I was going to ask, so FYI, y'all, I've got Alex on from Criminal Network this Thursday. I'm so happy to get
I
him
saw
on, and
that.
I'm
Yeah.
going to ask him some specific questions. But I've gotten and I hadn't posted it because it's all alleged. Hey Wayne, happy to see you here tonight. Thank you so much for stopping in. From We
Wayne.
Investigate. Very good.
Yep.
Wayne, you were on with him the other night, weren't you?
Yeah, he was
Oh,
on when I was talking.
with
Yeah.
Adam.
He asked me some good questions.
We would love to have you call in as well, Wayne. So let me know if you have anything you want to ask Boomer or discuss, because I'm happy to give you a link as well. Okay, so I have to get my brain going, Boomer. It's hard. It's hard to keep my brain going. So, I get some emails. You probably get emails from people as well. I've gotten an email
Crazy people.
from, well, yeah,
If I showed you the
um,
one I got today, you'd think I was you'd agree with me.
oh, really? Okay, good. Well, all right, that's great. That's excellent. I had gotten, I'm looking through it right now to see if I could find it, to pull it up quickly because it's interesting, but I don't know. I couldn't verify it, but I had gotten an email from somebody who was saying that they ran across a school schedule, that somebody has, um, tea for their classes. And so I was going to try to find it because I wasn't going to post it, because I wasn't sure if it was real. And I try to be careful, even though all of this is speculation. um we you know I can't just put everything out there, if that makes sense, because
Oh, absolutely. I
it's
couldn't
not
put
like I
some
can.
of these emails I got out there. I wouldn't be able to put them out there. I wouldn't do it. And I try to
Correct.
do like you're saying. I try to verify. I don't throw them out. I mean, I try to look at it and verify it and see if there's anything to it. And if there was anything to it, I might forward it on. But you know, I had one
um
the other day. I was just looking here on my thing, see if I can see. I had one the other day where they said that T was working in Oregon at some school, and I actually looked
really.
that up to see if I could figure out, if he was on the staff or anything like that. It was a charter school or something. I couldn't verify that.
So, let me share. So, and while you're doing that, I'm downloading the images. So, the only reason why I'm sharing these now at this time is because A, they're redacted of everything, and B, I mean, there's no name on this. So, let me make this a little bit bigger. So, as you can see here, this is supposedly Basis Oro Valley student class schedule. There's no year. We don't have a name, but somebody is showing that they've got AP Biology T right here, Bio 2 at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So, I mean, it is possible that this is somebody's schedule, but I don't know, if it's this year or not. So the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because somebody in one of my chats, or not my chat, a comment had commented that their nephew or someone had him as their teacher this year. And so supposedly, I've got two sources now saying that he is possibly teaching, but I want to ask Alex because, I certainly don't want anyone stalking somebody, but couldn't it be verified pretty easily by, just seeing if they're walking into school or, again, I don't want to cross the line, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it could be, of course, but that would be Alec. He might not want to put himself out there like that to look at something like that. And Tucson and Alex and all those guys, they're on top of it out there. And I think if they knew or somehow they could know whether or not T was back at work, I hope he's back at work.
I do
Why
too.
they not? So
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, but being back to work there at that school is better than being back to work in Oregon somewhere.
Well, I mean, let me ask you a question, and you may not have the answer to this, but isn't it possible that if, let me take this down, isn't it possible that, um, I mean, do you know of any reason if there was public suspicion on T, is the school going to bring him back? Or, I mean, if they know him and he's really good with the kids, I mean, there's no reason for them not to bring him back to school, is kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, there's a lot of things that would probably come into play there. Well, first off, the school would want to, but um, they might be afraid not to bring him back. They might be afraid to bring him back. So they'd be in a pickle in a way. They don't want to create a scene at the school, with a bunch of reporters showing up at the school. So at the same time, they don't want to, you know, discriminate against him because of something that's happened to his family, and there's no charges, no proof, or anything else that he did anything wrong. So it's a touchy situation, I would think. If he was a regular teacher, and I don't think he's a regular teacher, I'm not sure this is a quote regular school either that he's teaching at. Do they have contracts and stuff like that? In a lot of school situations, you got contracts and all that they have to fulfill. So I don't know. I wouldn't, they don't want any disruption at school for sure.
Yeah.
They don't want news trucks showing up, and they don't even want the streamers to show up and everything trying to get him coming in and out of school. So if that was to happen, so
Well,
that's
and like,
my answer to that one.
no, and that's a really good question. Inner strength. I was wondering, you mentioned in another comment here that I just posted, probably a lot of parents would be concerned. Do you think, that, and I would have thought that if he was going back to school, I don't know. I mean, the media seems to be kind of sweethearts with Nanos as far as, doing local interviews with him. They're the only ones he's really done interviews with, and they seem to um, do softball questions. Do you think that they're going to maybe respect the privacy of the school because there's kids there? I don't know that local media would be there.
Well, okay, that's a good point. I would hope that they wouldn't. You know, why should they? What's the story? In a way, what's the story? He's going back to work. You know, I mean, somebody can make a story out of it, I guess, but I doubt if they will. I doubt if the local media will.
Well, and is it
TMZ
you?
might TMZ might make something out of it. You know,
I mean, maybe it's just us YouTubers who are making a mountain out of a molehill.
well, yes and no. I mean, we could. You know, if you had a whole bunch of streamers showing up out there at the school, they'd create a ruckus. And a school calls, and next thing you know, the sheriff be out there arresting them again. So, you know, the in a way, the mainstream media provides cover for the streamers. Think
Yeah.
about it. If the mainstream media is out there, they're not going to mess with the streamers. They can't. But once, even in this situation with Nancy, once the mainstream left and it was only the streamers out there, then they disrespected them. They didn't consider them part of media or anything else. So if it was only the streamers that went out to the school and all that kind of stuff, I think that could be a problem.
That would be a problem.
And even
Yeah.
anybody going out there and doing some kind of surveillance to try and verify it, they'll be calling on you in a heartbeat if the teachers or people like that saw you. I think they would. The sheriff would be rolling up on you.
And that made me, I was talking with Crunchy Sissy today, and I was telling her I had Alex on Thursday, and I was explaining, because she doesn't follow the case, which, we've all shamed her for, and I would like to shame her again. She's not listening tonight, but whatever. She doesn't listen to the story. And yeah, Inner Strength, I see you here. I don't know if you saw my message, but Inner Strength, can you shoot me an email at crimecrunchies@gmail.com? And I don't know, someone said that they didn't see her. Maybe she's in I'm not sure if I see your window. I think Boomer, you have your own, because we're learning how to.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to deal with that because it doesn't show up on my window over here.
Okay, very good.
I don't think it does. Let me look. Oh man, it does.
Are you seeing me? Are you
I
seeing?
see some in there.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I don't know. What's the last one I see in there?
You might want to start.
Time After Dark is in there. That's Inner Strength is in there. She says absolutely. Is that on your stream? And I'm just seeing yours.
I think
got something.
Maybe we have both, because I know that someone was saying that they didn't see Inner Strength, but I see Inner Strength, and I see Major Rammer Jammer. Hi, Rammer.
Yeah, I just saw him. Saw him. All right.
You guys, thank you. We're learning.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, well, you know what, Inner Strength, you might be in Boomers. So some of these guys are in Boomers live, and some of them are in mine. So we are we're multicasting, simulcasting. So through StreamYard, we're trying to get techie fancy here.
Well, yeah. I think we must. I'm getting more on my stream. There's like Paige. She just came in there. She says Major. I got that on my. I'm looking on YouTube on a separate.
Psychic writer saying that they're in your live, and then so maybe there's some in mine. Is it Major Rammer Jammer's birthday? Happy birthday, Rammer Jammer Jammer. Ramadama ding ding dong. Happy birthday.
Okay, well, I can't make them pop up on my screen or anything, can I?
You might. Give it a whirl. Give it a test.
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, Jackie says she's in yours. Inner is in Boomers. That's probably
sorry, y'all.
Okay, that's funny. Okay, that's fine. We're just learning how to do this, but I figure if Boomers.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I was gonna have Boomer on, but we both have StreamYard, and it's like we may as well both be live. So each of our audiences.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me think. I had a question. Happy birthday, Major Rammer Jammer. If it is your birthday, happy birthday. Okay, so when I was saying that okay, I have to go back. So Crunchy Sissy, I was explaining to her who Alex was, and Crunchy Sissy is really big on the First Amendment, and she felt like if um, Alex was on the street, there's no sidewalks in Nancy's neighborhood. Okay, he probably was just set up on the side of the street and not on anybody's property. Supposedly, he was on a public easement or something. So, is that is what he was doing, in your professional opinion, okay? Or I haven't talked to you about it yet. I mean, should he have been arrested or
No, no
okay?
way. He was on the easement. He was on a public right of way. You know,
Okay.
just like being on the road. You know, it's not on private property. A lot of people think that they own the property all the way out to the street. In most places, you do not. There's a setback in which it belongs to the public right of way. So the same way in which all the media was operating for how long were they out there? 2 months or something before they took off. All of them. It was okay then,
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
so when the streamers got left behind, um, you know, they decided they could pick on them. And they
So,
were. I think the arrests were totally illegal, totally
okay.
wrong, morally wrong is more than anything else. You know, to me it was.
So, do you think that, I mean, my sister was saying he needs to sue the county because he was doing his First Amendment rights, and there were a ton of people from out of state calling. And
Yeah,
I thought the neighbors, but she did call the sheriff, and they went out there and arrested him twice. And apparently they haven't dropped the charges, but I'll find out from Alex on Thursday what the status is.
yeah. Alex is a smart guy. He's a lot smarter than he looks. Okay, so he's he knows what he needs to do and what he ought to do. I wouldn't advise him on that,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. You know, they shouldn't have done what they done, and it was all wrong. So, you know, and I was in favor of. Hey, listen, if I lived in that neighborhood, and you know, we were still people didn't know what there was no, we don't know what happened there. If they're out in front of my house, actually, I think I feel safer.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Somebody's sitting out in front of my house the whole time, and we're not talking about people that are going to do a crime because we all know they're there. So, you know, I feel safer with them out there. In a way, I think I don't know what was. You know, you had a few people in the neighborhood that were real squawkers, and somehow they got the ear of even Savannah, maybe, and I don't know what she did, but I know what the sheriff and them did. They came out and arrested them when they shouldn't have, and they've been thrown out of court. I think all the charges. Now, where? Well, I won't say. I'll let him tell you about what's left,
Yeah.
why he thinks it hasn't been dropped yet. Yeah, I'm not going to say.
Oh, it's Jen. Woo!
Oh,
Here's
there she is.
woohoo.
Hey, Jen.
So, and actually I was going to bring this up and credit because Jen had talked about that maybe they wanted the memorial gone and all the streamers gone so that they could watch and see who's coming by, because a lot of times people will come back, like, serial people will come back to see or remember their handiwork or, get a trophy or something. So Jen was thinking that they may have cleared everybody out of in front of Nancy's house so that they maybe had cameras could catch somebody. I mean, have you ever heard of anybody doing that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if that was the reason, if that was a strategy, fine. But it could have been a better way to do it other than arresting those guys. You know, I don't even know the whole circumstance of all their arrests or anything,
Yeah.
but I think some of them, they came to their house, so, yes, matter of fact, when JLR was out there to begin with,
Yeah.
I actually called in and talked to him one day. And I said, they ought to be watching your channel. The reason they ought to be watching your channel is you got all these people coming by, and we don't know that it isn't one of them that's
Yep.
checking it out. They ought to have cameras put up. So, I would have done that from the get go. I would have had somebody assigned just to watch, because those guys were providing almost 24-hour coverage of everything coming and going, people coming and going. There were a few suspicious characters that came and went,
There
in
were.
vehicles, vans, and then another guy I was thinking of that came by. Anyway, that's what I would have done. But they were on a different brainwave at the time. I don't know what brainwave they were on, but they weren't thinking about that kind of stuff.
So do
Yes,
you
they do. They do come back, and it wouldn't surprise me if not one iota that the guy comes back. It don't have to be a serial killer either that does that. It could be anybody just curious about what's going on. Anyway, but
so do you think that it was because Savannah called in about Alex the second time that they went back out? Do you think she was
would think so. She wields a bunch of power, whether people think so or not. You know, and now the sheriff says he wasn't talking to her, so I don't know who she talked to. You know,
Yep.
she's got a lot of big time connections. The senator shows up and all that kind of stuff, and brings them. I don't know if this is true, but
The donuts.
Chris McDonough says he brought him a bunch of donuts. You know what I mean?
He
That's an
did.
insult, as far as I'm concerned. That's a first class insult.
That
Bring a
the
bunch of
senator bought.
donuts. I
Really?
think all policemen do is drink coffee and eat donuts at the donut shop all night long. You know what I mean? That's what that comes from.
Yeah.
To me, that's an insult.
Is it? Okay.
The only
Well,
way you buy off cops is with a bag of donuts. You know what I mean? Get them to work for a bag of donuts. That's an insult.
yeah.
If you want to show up, don't bring anything. Just come and encourage everybody. Say, I know you got a tough job here. You guys do a good job. I'm behind you any way I can. Don't come in. Hey, I got some donuts for you. And I was insulted, and I ain't even there. That's a long standing insult to cops.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah.
But
You can go online and find a bunch of cartoonish things of guys eating donuts. That's the only thing cops do is eat donuts, especially on the midnight shift. I'm sorry, I got off on one.
no, you know what? I was going to ask you about donuts. I mean, because I always heard cops eat donuts, but is that just that's a bad thing to talk about? I mean, it was, it was a whole
No,
thing.
I just
Yeah.
know the inside joke of that. The
Yeah.
inside part about that. To me, it's an insult. That where's a cop when you need him? At the donut shop.
Well, I remember I'm as old. Yeah, I'm a Gen Xer. I say I'm from the 1900s. So,
So anyway, I
but
didn't mean to
if
get.
it
I didn't mean to get off on that.
no, because
Just
that's
about.
the thing. It doesn't look good because a senator is not supposed to be getting involved in, local law enforcement. So, I mean, if you're standing there and a senator came in with a box of donuts, that's a smack in the face, right?
That's the way I looked at it. Maybe
What,
those young guys don't look at it that way.
I mean, what kind of message is that sending?
Like I said,
Yeah.
you're only going to work for a bag of donuts.
Yeah.
I don't work for a bag of donuts. I work for the right thing. I work the same way for everybody. I would work the same way for Nancy Guthrie as I would for some other poor person. If they will let me, that's the problem. A lot of times they won't let you. These police departments won't work it because you don't amount to nothing. You're a nobody. That's the truth. That's a hard, cold facts truth. What other case have they had in Tucson area that got this much attention? What other case? What other case in the whole of Arizona got this kind of attention? And I'm sure there's a lot of missing people and open homicides and things like that didn't get this kind of attention. they've gotten a ton of attention and a ton of, when I say attention, I don't mean media attention. I mean attention by the police putting all their efforts into it, which I don't think they put near enough as it is. But I don't know what their resources are. But there's been a lot of attention. I mean, when you have all the way up to the president of the United States call in, telling I'm going to send everything I got for you, and then when you send them, and the sheriff says I don't want them, basically for the first 4 days. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent here.
No, I want to hear that because it definitely came across as weird. It looked like it was loaded at the time. I wanted to say hello to Faithful Servant really quick while I saw you in there. Good evening.
Faithful Servant.
Yes.
That's the guy that does all that good AI work.
Yes, he does.
He's really he put out a good one, I don't know, a week or two ago.
The
it's
Room
about
312.
4 hours long. It had all this data in it from the property and all that stuff. Man, that was
I'll
really
have to watch that. Yeah.
You got to watch that. You want to know about it? He did a good job, man.
All right. I like it. Yes, everyone check out. And when we say hello, these are other channels, Faithful Servant, TBX, We Investigate. Go check out their channels, and my mod, Crime After Dark HQ, go check out their channels, give them a sub, give Boomer a sub, give me a sub. I think Boomer's close to 5,000. I'm close to 15,000. We're trying to get I know we're trying to reach the hump. I'm doing a giveaway. When I hit 15,000, I'm going to be doing a random drawing for 5 $10 gift cards because I like doing crap like
there
that.
You go.
So.
All right. Give away a Corvette.
I will. I'll give away Nano's Corvette, his creepy Corvette. Yeah, no, it's really good. My mind.
I think? You know what I think? There's so many good. People can say what they want to say. There's so many good YouTube true crime people out here. We could have solved this case.
Seriously. Yeah.
More good thinking done. Yeah. Now, I'm not inside of that investigation over there. I'm not. And I should not be critical, I guess. But I saw how terrible they did from the beginning of that crime scene and everything else. What gives me there's any confidence of anything else going on? I hope the FBI is really taking over and is going to bring it out of the ditch, but the sheriff's office didn't give me any confidence. So I don't know. I think all the YouTubers that are out there, all these people that, send in these comments and stuff, I'd say 90% of them are really good ideas and good thoughts and good questions. The same questions that ought to be asked in that task force that ought to be addressed. I really think that, we could have all gotten together and solved it. That's a terrible thing to say.
No, but no, it's serious.
I don't mean to, I shouldn't, those are my brothers. Oh my goodness. I'm in trouble now.
Well, hey, we've looked at everything. Seriously, we've looked at everything. And, you were talking about the fact that, looking at how scary these guys are that were just arrested and the fact that these people like Porch Guy, they just do not have there's no value on human life with these people. It's terrifying. They could care less. And it's true. The longer this goes unsolved, and even if, who cares who masterminded this, Porch Guy is out there running around.
He's a hardened criminal. I truly believe that. He's like one of these guys that did this murder here, these two sheriff's employees. That's the kind of guys that do this, because that Porch Guy I think was a hired guy.
Yeah.
So whoever hired him, I don't know, but he wasn't the one everybody wants it to be. His name starts with T.
I know. I know. And I agree. I mean, I just don't see it. I just don't see that it's I think T's too tall anyway, but
the cruelty that guy on the porch showed to Nancy, I'm sure it's a lot worse than what we even know, by the time they got her to the car and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
I don't know.
I haven't addressed yet because I took Monday off and then Sunday. I think I talked about it Sunday, but I have to say that Saturday night on TBX, that blood spatter. Um, did you watch that episode with Dr. Severs on?
I did.
Yeah. What did you think about that? Because you've seen blood and blood scenes. I mean, it's not like you have to be an expert, but you get to know stuff. What do you think about the
No.
blood?
Well, what it proved to me is, in spite of the fact that people think that you can create that blood spatter, don't say splatter now. Don't
Yes.
slip up and say splatter.
If you're a cool kid, you say spatter. Yes.
Anyway, even though that can be created, that one was an expert at creating that stuff. So the fineness of some of that spray to me is not what you can necessarily, unless you're experienced at doing it and have done it a number of times and know how to. You can't get that out of a syringe. I would think you'd have to use it out of the things we do with.
Okay, so we all have learned new words. Okay, signal sniffer, Wi-Fi jammer, and now the word on our bingo card is pipette. 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 It's got the
Okay,
So I'm like, what the heck is a pipette? So
let me
here's
ask you:
everyone. A
do you think
pipette.
that guy? You think Porch guy is smart enough to do this?
He had a pipette.
Yeah,
Pipette. Pipette.
I don't believe that. No, a lot of people. Here's the problem: people want to believe what they want to believe, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to believe what they want to believe. They got a scenario built up in their mind, and they're going to make it fit no matter what. I
That's what I do. I don't know what your problem is. I mean, that's what I know. I'm just kidding.
well, we we start from somewhere, but you gotta pull the reins back a little bit sometimes and say, wait a minute, is that really possible? Did the porch guy set that up on the front porch and all? And no,
Well, that's why you're here because
no.
someone needs
I
to.
believe she fell down on the front porch. She had been already been struck. I know there was the question about was that not enough blood. I talked to Adam and Mike about that the other day because they did a test on all that kind of stuff. And now, but the blood spatter lady, she said, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Yeah. So I thought, oh my goodness, never going to get Adam and Mike off of that now.
Pipette.
But the real thing, which I think the real thing is what we see on that front porch, was where she fell down on her fours, hands and knees or whatever, or all the way down and had her head maybe just up and she sneezed out. Then now this blood spatter lady said that there was, you know, a problem. Now it took her 2 hours to get to this, but that there appears to be that all of the blood that could have been shown there wasn't shown. If I'm remembering it right, I was laying in bed listening to this, but so she said, and Jen can correct me. She said, there's a blank spot in it all to me. But on the other hand, I was talking to Adam and Mike the other night, and why didn't there weren't there tracks in there? Okay,
Yeah.
why all that stuff? Well, I think I wasn't on the front porch. I didn't see the crime scene. If I'd seen the crime scene, all we're seeing is this real restricted pictures here. But the way that front door is a big door that opens out wide. It's a wide door, opens out wide. I think it's possible. And I think if she's coming out, you'll notice that if we're looking at the door, most of that blood is to the right.
Yeah.
Okay. She falls out to the left, which would be the way in which she'd be coming out. Okay. She falls down. Those guys, one or two, whatever it is, step kind of behind her. They wouldn't be stepping in any blood at that point doing that. Then lift her up. and get her going again. And then there's a blood trail that goes out on the sidewalk. Now, and then people keep saying, well, she's a bleeder. Well, she takes blood thinners. I can't explain everything, but I know that's her blood. I don't believe that she would have. I don't believe they took her inside and they sucked blood out of her and came outside and did all that. Okay, I don't buy all that. I mean, if the true crime world doesn't want to believe what I got to say, that's fine. But I'm going to stick with the Auckland's razor here. She fell out the door. Maybe she'd already fallen inside. We don't know how much bleeding she did on the inside. We had, what was it, Banfield? She reported from one of her sources that, and of course you can't always depend on sources, but that there's blood on the inside similar to what's there on the outside. So that's her blood. She was there. People say she's not there. She never went there. There's a lot of ways they're proving that she was there. If that watch was hers, the telephone was hers, you know, that's a tracking device. You know where
Yeah.
she was. Now, okay, the answer to that, everybody wants to make it fit like they want to make it fit. Oh, they could have taken their watch, her phone, and all that over there, and they did all that. They planted all that. Well, I guess I'm just not enough of a conspiracy theory person to buy into all that. Now, there's a lot of things I do believe in this conspiracies, but I'm not sure this is one of them. Okay. How this
Well,
guy got away, you know how he got away? Everybody thinks he's a dummy. He's so dumb he's got away with it. He's so dumb that I don't think he left much of any DNA in that house. That's what I think.
so, and the blood on the front porch, I think that it just didn't look it didn't look complete, and that was really the end result, is that it just didn't look complete to
Okay.
her.
Hey, there's a guy, I forget who it was now. My memory's terrible sometimes, but anyway,
Mine too.
that brought in another one of these discussion things. He brought up maybe it was I think it was is it Wayne from We Investigate brought it up that she went down and then she rolled over, or they rolled her over, and now the blood's coming on the front of her face and down like this, and it's not she's not face down anymore, and they got her up. If she went out to the left, then she rolls back over to toward the inside of the door, then the blood's not going to be dripping the same way it would have been as if she's face down, which is how I think that sneeze, cough, or whatever you want to say happened. There's not always explanations for everything. It's like I said this before. I can drop a pill or something, a
Yeah.
regular pill, just not a capsule, but a pill. I drop it straight down, and I'm looking down there. I can't find it anywhere, and I find it later. It's way over here on the other side of the room somewhere. You know, sometimes that's the way things are. They're not as they seem. I can tell you about crime scenes that were that way. They're not as they seem. I I'm not going to go into this whole thing, but I had unalive, y'all call it. It's hard for me to get into all that swing of that stuff. Somebody unalived himself with a shotgun,
Mhm.
and it was a young person. When I say young person, it's somebody about 20, 21. I can't remember exactly. Well, he did it in a strange way, and the shotgun ended up kind of across the room. His parents would not believe that he unalived himself.
Really?
No, but he had a note.
Hmm.
And of course, those we went to great lengths to figure out if what happened to get the shotgun over there. Anyway, without going into it, I was in the end. I was convinced that, yeah, as hard as this seems, it happened. It happened. So things don't always appear the way they're supposed to appear. At crime scenes, they really don't. So
Well,
Nancy was there. She coughed
well,
blood out of it, and she was taken out the front door. Those to me, those are facts. What's all these comments we got coming
I
in
know I
here?
was gonna say you might want to
They're
check out your
rolling on,
comments.
man. Are they slicing me up or what?
No, 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 no.
I'm
I think that
just kidding.
we've got a
People can say what they want to say.
no, they I think that most people we've got some people who are like, no, it wasn't staged, and you know, I'm open to everything, and I
Yeah.
am more than happy to keep an open mind. You have been in the business and you've seen enough stuff that and you seem very grounded, which I'm the opposite of. I think that's why we balance each other, because I am thinking like Rammer Jammer Ding a Ding Along said it was Bigfoot. It's totally Bigfoot. Okay. But um
Hey, I believe in Bigfoot.
I know I do too.
I do
I
for
the,
fun.
the lizard people.
Uh,
But I just I don't know. Here's the thing. I think that there are so many things. Oh, I know what I was. So Sunday, the topic of my show was um, nothing's adding up. And I know that you're 50-50 between a random or the family. And the thing is there's too many things. I kind of wanted to talk to you and get your opinion about this, because there's too many things that are coincidental and they don't add up. And the blood, I mean, I don't think that that's enough blood. Personally, I've had head cuts and it's just gushing everywhere, okay? But that's my opinion. And then just, I was talking about how after when Savannah did the interview with Hoda, that she talked about Nancy being taken out of the house in her pajamas with you know, in bare feet. And I had always thought, well, maybe she had seen video of them taking her mother out, and that, how did she know that she had no shoes on? And that was my whole point. But then after looking at this video and really thinking about it, he took the camera off before she was taken from the house. So there couldn't have been video of Nancy being taken out of the house. I thought maybe they had that video, they just weren't releasing because it's too horrific, but there couldn't have been video. And there's so many things that just don't add up in this case. And I know that that's why we're hooked, but I don't know that the text with Kalala, I know that you're 50-50, but I just don't see
well,
how this
I'm sorry. I did some more work on that Kalila thing,
yeah.
and he could have known about um, the ransom note. TMZ released that on the third around noontime about the notes. He called them. He texted A&T on the next day around 5 or 6 in the afternoon or something like that. So he could have known about it. See what Juanita was saying, and when she put out her thing, and I love her work, and she's really good and all, and that she believed that he could not have known about the ransom notes. But according to the timeline of when it was made public on TMZ, and TMZ is the type of station that Colella would watch. You know what I mean? I don't watch that stuff, but he would be the type who would be watching that. So uh, Harvey Levine announces that, and then the next day, Colella calls him and says, "Did you get it yet?" That type thing, or texts him, And then what is the FBI doing? They arrest him the next day on the 5th. I mean,
They got him right away.
that's how good they are when there's something to work with. These guys that came to this house didn't leave with nothing to work with. They didn't bring any devices that could say they were there through the geo fencing stuff that they can do with phones and all that kind of stuff. That's almost foolproof, and they can't find them. They couldn't find anybody there. Those guys came really prepared in so many ways, and I know we think they weren't very smart. Well, I don't know if the goon on the front porch is smart or whether he just had good instruction or what. But well, They didn't leave them anything. It's unlike this police shooting from a day or so ago when the officers were shot. They left them a lot. You know what I mean? These guys got away in the car, and they, who is it? I always get all these guys mixed up. Some of them got such a similar name.
I
Uh,
know.
Intrigue. What's his first one? Uh,
Monks?
Not Monks. The other one. So mine just went
I
blank.
know. Believe me, I'm the same way. I need Geritol. I mean, I really, really do. It's
Anyway,
bad.
he did a great thing on the whole mapping and how they could get in and out of there and everything else, and how they could get out without being seen. And he even marked out where all the cameras are on
Sleuth.
the houses and stuff.
Sleuth.
Sleuth, that's it.
Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was really, 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 really good. He's good on that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
Monk said on his stuff. So anyway, it they knew they had done their homework, and to prove it, unlike the guys who just shot these officers, those guys are in jail. The guys that did Nancy, we have no clue who they are.
So, I mean, we know that they're not going to have high IQs, okay? But are these guys that are doing this stuff that smart that they know how to keep that DNA just sealed in their little suits and everything?
Well, through CSI shows for the last 20 years we've seen on TV, right?
Yeah.
They've taught them how to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to seal yourself up, and the porch guy, if there was a mistake he made, it was with that bite light,
Yeah.
and that's only if he made a mistake, and when he took it out and on his fingers there could be some DNA and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know how he dealt with that if he wanted to be absolute, but you know I'm going to do another show. I had a show a while back, way back in the beginning. The first few videos I did, and one of them was, "Can DNA solve this case?"
Yeah.
Another
I
one
hope
was, and
so.
I'll get everybody upset now. I'll get certain people upset. I said, "Can profilers solve this case?" The answer to that was no. Has profilers solved this case yet? They can't even agree.
They can't. I know. That's true. They all say
I
something
mean, that's
different.
another one I'm going to show about that. And I love them. They're good. I totally believe in what they contribute in a criminal investigation or these types of investigations, but they don't typically solve cases. Homicide investigators solve cases. That's who solves them. Now,
So,
DNA is a tool for which homicide investigators can solve. But you know what? DNA is, in some ways, there's a lot of things I think about DNA. DNA has made it too easy, and it's made the police lazy. If we think we got DNA, we got it, man. We don't have to do nothing else. DNA is going to solve this for us, right?
do you think Nanos is just waiting for that DNA, whatever DNA? Apparently, there's 15,000 DNAs out there, labs across the
He
country.
probably is, but I think he's worried by now. He's worried, and if you want, that's one of the things I'm going to do. If I do a video on it on DNA, this layers of DNA. Let me see this one here. It says, Boomer, they say, no 4th century. I'm not buying Nancy didn't lock her doors. And even if that case, a perp didn't know. I agree. That's a mystery. I totally agree with that. That's a mystery. And
Well, and here's
I threw out to one of these stations I was on the other day. I said, I'll get you guys going now. The 2 minutes that the garage door was only open, right?
yeah.
And somebody could have went in there and opened up that back door and left it unlocked, you know?
Okay.
Or maybe Nancy left it unlocked, just unlocked. Not,
So
the
let's talk
family
about
says she does that sometimes. I have to go around every night
lock.
and check our doors because of the position of them. And what she's got several doors she needs to check, and believe it or not, old seasoned cop, burglary sergeant guy, and everything else, and all this. In the time I've lived in this residence here now, it's been about 10 years. There's been a half a dozen times when I left the garage door open. I left the back door of the inner back door unlocked. Now I don't make a habit of it,
Sure, sure, sure.
so they don't just happen to come up on a night when the back door is unlocked, unless on one of those other opportunities that, like the 11th and the other weekend prior to the week before, that they actually came up there and tried the doors and they were locked. And then, maybe they intended to do it 3 different times. Now, see, I can stretch things too to make it fit my way, but it's a mystery. It's a mystery. And hey, if certain people are guilty, that's one way they could have done it, and had nothing to do with touching anything inside other than leaving that back door unlocked. If you want to believe that. No, I don't. I agree with the person who just wrote that in. If there's no forced entry, I don't believe Nancy leaves her doors propped open for sure. The doors were propped open by the bad guys. And I believe the reason they were propped open was to take her out the back. I do not believe they intended her coming out the front.
So before I forget, because by the way, I forget stuff too so much that I'm now announcing Boomer and I are starting a new channel called Senile True Crime. And that's where we start talking and can't remember what we were going to say. And then we take turns forgetting. Because I forget stuff all the time. Okay.
I do. So, I have a list of those guys, but I don't have it out here now.
Exactly. So before I forget what I was going to say,
okay.
There Sorry. Was, and here I can't remember who it was that interviewed, but it was the past chief before Nanos, and they asked, and I can't even remember what show. Okay, that's how senile.
He's been interviewed by several people.
Yes,
he's been interviewed by a number of people,
and they said, "Well, where did they take him? Where'd they take Nancy?" And he said he thinks that they took her to Mexico. And I've seen shows where going through that Indian reservation, Native American reservation, there's paths right into Mexico that they use that have no one there. And so of course they took her to Mexico, but nobody followed up on that lead for Buscando Corazones. I mean, would you have followed up on that?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Now, if you had only 2 detectives working this case, usually you have a lead and an assistant. So if you had 2 detectives working this case, there's no way you could run down everything, and that might be a very, very, very low priority. But if they had a lot of people working at the first weeks or the first month, and then I don't know what it got down to now, but yes, it should be worked. I don't rule that one out at all, and Jen from Thornbridge, they did a whole segment on that. And I said before, but I've been poo-pooed by some of the big investigator dudes. It's not Mexico. It's not across the border. Well, all right. They have a lot of experience down by the border and that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to argue that much with that. But the first thing I thought about was, I probably said this before, even on your show, first thing I thought about was cartel. Now, I had to clarify that. I don't mean the cartel did it. I mean the kind of scumbag that works with the cartel.
Yeah.
And those types of people, just like these guys who just killed these 2 officers, or tried to kill these 2 officers, killed one and the other one's injured. Okay, that's the kind of scumbag that the porch guy is. That's what I was saying. That's all. It's, people that kill easily, cartel guys that don't care about life. And how do you, I don't see, it still just bugs the heck out of me how they treated her, how they had to have treated her.
Yeah.
It
Not
does.
Cool.
Yeah. So
where's the respect? I mean, just a little old lady. They have no respect for life.
2 types of people you don't mess with: children.
Yes.
And old people.
Bingo.
That's
right. So, and here, I have all these, I don't know what's wrong with, I'm forgetting everything because my mind is going so fast, Boomer. I think this is
Well,
what our
I'm
problem is.
interrupting you a lot.
No,
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
no, no. But the thing is we've got so many thoughts that are going and then it's hard to file them away. And that's why I can't wait for next week when we have our first episode of Senile True Crime by Boomer and Courtney. And you know what? You'll be live, and it's like, where's Courtney? Well, she forgot to even come on the show tonight. That's how seen. Bye, Jen. Have a great night. We know you're busy. Have a good evening with Glenn.
Yeah, they're busy, man. They are busy. Woo, they're rocking and rolling on their site. But anyway,
so
you got a lot of things to play in. But if we want to bring it back to what you were going to talk about tonight, right? Do you remember that?
To do what?
The subject matter? What was the subject matter of tonight?
So the night is when new cases take over. Okay. So how do we, circling it back around, it's just, and this is kind of what I wanted to loop in as well. And again, I'm not bagging on Savannah. It goes back to her post where she doesn't want people talking about it. She doesn't, she doesn't want, she wants people praying. And she wants the right people sharing information, but they may not, or if they were, they would have already. So, what is she going to feel like when we've got X number of cases that have taken over the resources and the media doesn't talk about it anymore, and the YouTubers eventually we're going to go away.
Everybody will eventually.
So, and the last since the 19th, the last 6 days, these guys in Tucson that have been our boots on the ground that have done a great job and they're covering these goons now. They're not talking about Nancy. Do you think she's feeling any different now? Do you think she's feeling fear? I mean,
I don't know what to think about him anymore. I don't know. I'm disappointed in her too. She wants to be disappointed and have a maybe blame whatever she wants to blame on people, being in the streamers and YouTubers and everybody that makes money off of this kind of stuff, right? Like she doesn't make any money off of it.
Yeah, it's really the pot calling the kettle black. You know what I mean? Someone who's in the media and
I don't know if she wants to be mad at somebody. She needs to be mad at Nanos.
Yeah,
Nanos is the one who has, in my opinion, messed it up from the very get go. And anybody that is as Chris McDonough loves to say, I've done this for a couple of weekends. Anybody that's done it for a couple of weekends, meaning anybody that's been in investigations very long, knows that he messed it up seriously.
Yeah.
There's nobody to blame but him. Now, it might be his people, but he's in charge. And he was leading the way. And that first night when he did that press conference and things like that, it was obvious he was in charge. He's in charge. So there's nobody to blame but him. So, and everything since then, given the not letting the FBI in and possibly a good chance, I'd say they might have lost some footage on that camera because of that, because it only stores it for so long without a subscription. So, there's a lot of problems. I mean, I was doing a whole series on just I was doing a series of shorts on missteps.
Yeah.
I quit doing it. I was going to do it for 30 days straight. I think I had about 20 of them in. And I still had more ammunition than that. And then I thought about it. I'm just giving the defense, ammunition when the day comes. So I'm going to quit doing it.
AKA Alan Jackson. Well, okay. So here's my other question to you. The train came back around. So
okay. I thought longer until it came around.
That took a long time for that train to come back around. It was 10 minutes. Okay, so the guy comes up and all right, so let's just bear with me, okay?
All right, I'm listening.
Porch guy comes up. So he comes up, he takes the camera off the front. Supposedly there's cameras elsewhere, not on the inside. Supposedly there's on the inside, but there's some along the back of the house, like on the roof. He doesn't pull those down, okay? But he takes the floodlights down on the back of the house, those two, but he leaves the floodlights on in the front of the house and on the casita. So I don't understand. Why would he not hit all the cameras if he had already reconned? He didn't take out all the lights. He took out the lights in the backyard where nobody can see him, because I know he was going to take her out the back, but he didn't go back out and do it. Just, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the other cameras, if you remember when the FBI was there, those FBI ladies, it was, I think,
Yeah.
Leslie, that went up on the roof,
Yeah.
they were removing cameras from the top of the roof.
Okay.
That meant that if he was going to do that, he would have had to have a ladder,
Correct.
to get up there and take those off. So, um, now, did he have a jammer? Was that what was in the backpack?
Yeah. I
People
don't
think,
know.
oh no, he couldn't have a jammer, it wouldn't work, and all this kind of stuff. Well, I don't know. I don't know enough about jammers
Yeah.
to say that, but he had something in that backpack. But I can't answer all that question either. But maybe he
Okay.
knows how to hide from the cameras. I don't know which way the cameras were. All those cameras working?
Well, that would be, so that's the question, because, okay, the front camera was Nest that she didn't have a subscription for. And, the 911 call, somebody says that the family doesn't have access to the cameras, but they have access to the phone. So are the cameras that were on the roof? I mean, I know that they got some image of somebody in the backyard doing something. So maybe they weren't aimed right. Maybe they were really old. It's just hard to tell, but it just doesn't make sense. Again, camera in the front, lights on in the front, lights out in the back, but cameras. And I don't know. And I'm not asking you. I'm
No,
just
I know
talking.
you're trying to
Yeah.
figure it out,
I'm
and
trying to figure it out.
just like the investigators are doing the
Yeah.
same, trying to figure it out. And they talk about at was it 212 a camera was activated, but they don't have um, a, it was activated, but there was no picture taken. There was nothing taken. I don't know what camera are they talking about.
That's the thing. And supposedly there were cameras in the house. What about those cameras?
I don't know about that. The cameras in the house ought to tell them a lot, unless they're not working.
I don't
A lot
know.
of people don't, and maybe Nancy was this way. She don't like somebody spying in on her, even if it's
Yeah.
her own kids. Would you want that cameras running in your house?
No, that's why
Yeah,
I don't know. But somebody said that he mentioned cameras in the house, and it's hard to keep it all straight. But
I
I
know.
just I just have questions, and
Keep asking,
I'm going to keep
unless you're
asking.
unless you're going too long. But anyway,
Well, I want to find out if T is, so here's the point. If T is back to work, which I want the family to be innocent. I really do, because it's disgusting, just even for a stranger. I hope that he's back to work, but I can't understand how nobody has found him or seen him even just driving into the parking lot. So it should be, you know, easy to identify if he is back. But and this is because you have me thinking, Boomer, because you're 50-50, and you have to look at everything, because like you said, you've seen cases where people are stuck on the family, and it's like, get off the family, you need to keep looking. And I think to myself, if they do solve this and it wasn't the family, after as much time as I've spent looking at how it could be, I mean, how do I even apologize for that? Seriously. I mean, do we apologize? What do you do? I mean, what,
no, it's just the way it is. You know,
yeah,
it's not. My reason I was saying that, and I did some kind of live stream on that last week, where I was trying to get people think about the other options. Don't just
correct.
be stuck on one thing, because it might be the other options, and then you might feel bad later. And that's what the investigators got to do. I guarantee, as an old chef from Louisiana used to say, I
Yeah.
guarantee that they looked at them heavy. They absolutely did. I mean, in their house, looking for blood with luminol and the lights and all that stuff. That they look for that stuff. Where they take their car, they got all their stuff, and probably Banfield's one source that said that T was their
Mhm.
prime suspect. I guarantee he was their
Yeah,
prime suspect
at that time.
up to
Yeah.
a point.
Yeah.
And we don't know. I've said things I probably should take back myself. We don't know that they were ever interviewed properly.
Correct.
Somebody called me out on that in one of my comments
Well, they weren't
yesterday or
separated.
today, and that is, how do I know they weren't interviewed? Well,
Well,
I'm pretty sure they were interviewed, but were they? There's a difference between an interview and a proper interview. There's several layers to an interview. Number one, you have the interview at the scene where they are just saying, "Okay, what happened? We're here. You called us. We're here. What happened? And then they tell them what they know. All right. Now, what should have happened next? They should have moved them out. They shouldn't have been in the house any longer. They, I don't know what happened there. I'm suspecting they left them in that house way too long. Then they should have transported them to the station, the sheriff's department, whatever.
separate.
They
Yeah.
should have separated them and talked to them in a real interview. Now, it's not an accusatory interview.
Sure.
It's a general information interview. You're trying to find out about Nancy, about a lot of things, and that interview is liable to go on for a while. And then during that interview, if red flags start popping up, now you got to dig a little deeper. Now we're going into a different layer. Glenn, I explained this to somebody the other day. Then you get to a point where, okay, I really believe you had something to do with this. You know what I mean? Now you communicate back with your scene guys. You're hoping all this is taking place in a few hours of when all this is going on, which is difficult too, to hold people talking too long. Find out what they know, and then you go back and you interview them some more. So they had no, I don't think so. No, they're using that to with the lights. They use blue lights is what they are to see if you can see it. Now, sometimes you could be seeing old blood or old uh, fluids, could be whatever, could be semen, could be
Hmm.
saliva somewhere in the house, and it's you don't know that they're trying to find that so that they can now sample that, see what the DNA is. Okay, it could be A&T stuff, has nothing to do with Nancy. That's what they're doing. That they're using luminol, and that light source gives you things that are invisible to the naked eye to see. That's what they're looking for with that. Obvious blood, you can see obvious blood or something that looks like blood or blood drops or some dark stain. But luminol shows you where, okay, people have tried to clean it up, maybe that kind of stuff. So you see it. Now you do take pictures of it, but the deal is, now you sample it, and now you test it for DNA, somewhere in a lab somewhere or whatever. Now, all of that matters too is where it was, how much it was, and everything else. And unless they had Nancy's DNA and all that stuff, they don't have anything.
Well, and it would be normal for her DNA to be in their house.
Yes, regular DNA, but if it's a blood,
Yeah.
that her touch DNA and all that stuff, that we're way too far out now. Now we've gotten so good with this stuff. That's another one of my DNA problems is we're too good. Now we've complicated it a whole lot. Anyway, so that's what they were doing there for the person who asked me that question there. Um, so just because they were doing that don't mean anything, but it does mean they were suspected. Their suspicions were that, we got to do this. They were the last people there,
Last people to see her. Yeah.
last people to see her.
Called
Right?
it in.
We got to do this. So they were doing their due diligence. I can't knock them for that one. So they were doing it. So
Okay.
yeah, what we saw come out, they had bags, and some of the streamers made a big deal out of it. They're bringing a bag out. They're bringing a bag.
Yeah, the bag, the paper bag, the bag, the bag. Whoa.
That
They
could
were
be
in the
where they
bag.
cut out little samples of carpet or something to
Yeah.
take to the lab, that kind of thing. So I would think if they, and again, you've made this point before. Maybe it's Thornbridge made this point that you know uh, we think they know who did it. They just don't have enough to prove it.
Yeah.
That would be the case for them. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
you got to prove it. You can't just say, "Well, I believe this, I believe that." Well, believing don't do anything. You got to prove it. And I guarantee you, the FBI will never make a charge they can't prove. They're not going to take anybody to court that they can't prove, and especially the Guthrie family,
Yeah.
Savannah Guthrie's. Think about that one.
Oh yeah, that's loaded, right?
Yeah, you better have your ducks in a row on that one. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it still is that, but we got to depend on FBI, which I hope have taken it over by now. It sounds like they have because
Yeah, at least they're at least
it's
running
still
it.
within the preview of the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
I won't get into all that again. The FBI could take it over, but anyway, I won't get into that. It's in the preview of the sheriff's department, and um, I'm hoping the FBI is running it now, so to speak, and they're trying to make something out of it. What's that old saying?
Well, what I want to do, and I know it's getting late here, but I want to try and figure out what angle, because we've all looked at between all of the YouTubers, we've looked at everything. Is there something we haven't looked at? Is there something we need to look at again? If it's not family or inner circle, what have we? I mean, I've looked down crazy things that you wouldn't even look at. I freaking did Epstein. I mean, I was willing to look at
I would have done Epstein. I actually
yeah.
thought about it. I was thinking about doing it, but and I heard you had already done it. Thought,
It
yeah,
did not go over well. I've had a
yeah.
couple. I even did self euthanasia, and that did not go over well either. People were very divided on. Hey, I'm just saying, it. Who knows? All right, it's not. It's fair game to look at it, right? It's fair game.
I heard somebody the other day. I wrote this down. If I can find it over here. Somebody on the true crime community said the true crime world in the true crime world we live on speculation, rumors, conspiracy, and weird theories.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I live in a world that I can prove.
I know you
Now,
do, Boomer.
involved in that though is speculation. We start out speculating every murder scene where it's not a smoking gun thing. You start out, okay, what could have happened here, and you start speculating just like we've done here. Uh, hey, if we hear some rumors from the neighbors or something, you got to think about that.
Yeah,
Uh, conspiracy of what, I don't know what, but weird theories, they may come up along the way. Listen, I had guys, the one homicide task force that lasted for a long time, lasted for 3 years. I had guys, and I encouraged them to to say their piece, and we'll consider everything. And I had guys in there that I bumped my head with. I thought they were crazy on some
yeah,
of their ideas. All right, now, but I considered them, and we all considered them up to a point. And I had one guy early on in that whole case, but it occurred over the water in Tampa Bay. And you got to remember, this is 1989, and he was a genius. Now this guy's a genius. He was up on everything. And he suggested in a big meeting when we had the whole place involved, 50 detectives. He suggested that we get hold of NASA or this. Oh, what's the other one? Anyway, one of the big organizations,
yeah.
and see if one of their satellites would pick up on this, where this boat was, all this kind of stuff. Oh my goodness, he got hooted out of the room.
Really?
Yeah, But guess what? Now we're there, aren't we?
We are
Along the
totally
way.
there. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it wasn't such a dumb idea. It was,
No, maybe he traveled from the future to the past and you didn't
yeah,
realize he had
yeah,
a time traveler.
yeah.
Just
So
kidding.
that guy was. I love that guy. He was a genius in his own way in a lot of things. So
He was ahead of his time.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much again, Boomer. I really appreciate it. I hope that, we get more info on Nancy Guthrie and we can continue looking into it because I know we all care. Ultimately, we all
yeah.
care. We'll never see, and you said it yourself, we'll never see another case like this ever again with the mystery. And I hope we don't see another one like this.
No, I hope not. I don't think we will for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Well, everybody,
see.
thank you so much for being with me tonight, and thank you everybody for watching both of our channels. I love
Right.
that we both can have we support each other. Make sure you're subscribing to Boomer. Make sure you're subscribing to me because we're pretty cool, right, Boomer?
Yeah.
We're pretty
Hit the
cool.
like button. Show us you like us.
Yes. How about the like? We've got the man with the sanity and the man with logic over there, and then you've got me just going babos. Babos. Well, thank you,
It's
everybody. I hope you
okay.
have a wonderful evening. We'll talk soon, Boomer. Have a great evening yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye, everyone.